there are apparently 2,500 unsold and empty condos in the Vancouver region. That's according to the CMHC. Let's get perspective from an industry player on the ground. We're joined by Oleg Galyuk, real estate agent at Royal Pacific Realty. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Put it in perspective. I mean, does that sound plausible? There could be 2,500 unsold condos right now?
Yeah, and I think that could be even the understatement. Unfortunately, at the moment, there is no good way to know how many condos are exactly ready to go unsold brand new, because developers don't have to report these numbers. So all of these are estimates, and I have seen estimates as high as 3,500 condos perhaps by the end of this year.
One thing I see you quoted as saying, this really caught our eye, that the buyers are often looking for older condos, that product built more recently is not attractive. Why is that?
That's correct. I think the developers have put too much emphasis on the investment type condos that are perhaps optimizing price per square foot and optimizing the lowest price possible for investors to get into the market. These are not necessarily the condos that majority of people want to buy to live in. And since a lot of investors have exited the market, these condos tend to sit on the market for longer, as opposed to some of the older inventory that has better floor plans, perhaps better parking situation. These are a lot more attractive for first-time home buyers and end users.
Has the industry just built too many small ones, 500 and 600 square feet?
In my opinion, yes. I think that was the main focus. These smaller units for better rental investments, and these were always the easiest to sell out for developers in a building.
Yeah, because small investors, obviously, they only have so much money to put up. Is there a risk that some buildings will become, no, derelict is too strong a word, but bunch of empty units just sitting there that there won't be, that the owners won't be able to pay for the big maintenance fees, for example?
And that's the other issue that we're starting to run into, because these empty units, these are ready, built inventory. These are not pre-sales that will be ready in a few years' time. So these buildings are completed, and in some cases, people are starting to move into these buildings. And you're running into this situation where you have a percentage of the building that's currently vacant, and the maintenance and the decisions are sort of split between the developers who own in these buildings and the people, the end users or the investors who also own. And as the strata sort of progresses and as maintenance needs to be done, the developer holds a pretty big share of the voting power. So that could be a concern as well.
But you say the developers would own the units. I thought all these units were pre-sold.
So a big chunk of them has been pre-sold, but these are the leftover inventory that has not been sold yet.
Right. I could see where that would be ugly, because the developer presumably just wants to get out, wants to get their money back, wants to spend as little as possible, whereas the tenants might want to pay for long-term improvements.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially at the initial stages when the building is just completed and people starting to move in. There are a lot of different little things that have to be done around the building.
I'll bet, like any home, yeah, you move in, be it new or old, you find yourself spending yet more money. Oleg, say it's just 2,500 condos, and you fear that it may be much more. We're tight for time, but how much of supply, how long would it take to soak up that kind of supply in the current market?
That's a great question. I think that is $1 million question that the developers are also looking for the answers for. At the current absorption rates, we're talking months and months. At the moment, the new construction sales are not going very well. Things would have to improve in order for this inventory to really start clearing out. We have seen some developers offer incentives to really try to push these units out the door. We have even seen some quote unquote flash sales where developers would offer 25% off discount for a couple of days in order to get people into these buildings and in order to sell out this leftover inventory.
Fascinating situation. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Oleg.
Thank you.
Oleg Galyuk, real estate agent at Royal Pacific Realty.